I'm speaking with Craig Etheridge from USA Today. Craig, what is going on in this cross-section between what used to be a print publication and now this digital realm?
Well, it's really interesting. We at USA Today believe that we cannot reach all of our consumers in one place. We all know that media is fragmented, and the users that we have in print are not the same users that are going to access us on, say, the iPhone or Android devices or anything like that. In fact, we only have about a 20% duplication between people who read the paper and people who access us on a mobile device. And so what we're trying to do is, how do we really affect our consumers and get various age groups, and when they're starting to form those brand loyalties with their news and information sites, how do we affect them in getting them on our platform and then have them emerge onto other platforms?
Interesting. Okay, I'm going to come back to how you're learning your audience. First, I just want to talk about the cool stuff. Okay. You mentioned that you're the guy who's doing the tablets and you're doing the phones. What are you doing in the mobile space?
What are we doing in the mobile space? Well, we want to be the largest publication, platform agnostic, for news and information. And so what we're really trying to do is, how do we develop for each of these independent platforms, because iOS is very different from Honeycomb and Android, very different from Windows. And so we've taken the approach that we want to develop for all platforms in the mobile space. In tablet, we're doing the same thing. We're hitting the Android devices. We're also hitting the iOS systems. And then we're also creating in HTML5. So we're really trying to tackle everything, because we know that the consumers out there are very different in their behaviors and what devices they choose. So we want to make sure that we're leading the pack on all those devices and creating a unique experience that form fits for that particular device. Google is very different from iPhone and very different from iPad, so you have to create for all those different environments.
Is there one specific challenge that you've encountered that you can give us a tip about?
I think some of the challenges, not in terms of development, but the way that advertisers embrace tablet right now. So last year when Apple came out in April, it was the hot thing. You know, tablet, everybody wanted to be on it. And then after people started getting results, or the lack of results, because a lot of publishers out there were not providing really big insights. And so many advertisers took a step back to say, you know what, I need to take time. I want to understand what the environment is and what more can I do to really say that I spent this money or these marketing dollars in an efficient manner. And so that's what we are tasked with. And from the very beginning, we've always been about analytics and showing really important metrics on how to measure customer insights, customer perceptions, through our rich media providers that we use, and also taking attitudinal studies with all of our customers.
It's one of the more interesting transitional areas, because you're going from a very traditional medium into one that is going to be traditional at some point, but it's new, and it's this puzzle you've got to be figuring out. Let's look directly at your audience for a moment. What is really resonating with them when it comes to the mobile space? Are they wanting comprehensive content? Are they wanting easy usability? What do they want? What are you designing?
Well, what we're designing are shorter form factors. So we know that our customers on mobile, they're coming multiple times per day, but they're staying for relatively short periods of time. They're coming in between 3 to 5 minutes max. So what do we have to do? We have to deliver that content in an efficient manner for all the different subjects that they're looking for. So if it's news, if it's weather, if it's sports, if it's life or entertainment, we want to be the one-stop shop for them so they don't have to go download other apps. We want them to come to us, and we can give them all the information they need in a fast, efficient manner.
Boy, so that's not a siloed thing. You must be working very closely with the rest of the company when it comes to the editorial side, and, you know, as they're choosing their stories and how to tease stories. I mean, you're very deep into the content side.
Very much so. And what we found is we've taken our newsroom and combined it into one newsroom. So it's not platform agnostic. We've taken the entire news organization, and they determine what's going to be published and where and what platform makes the most sense. So it's a very different approach. We're no longer a traditional print company. We are a multimedia. We're broadcast, we're digital, we're mobile, and desktop. So I think it's important when you look at the news organization as a whole and how they develop their stories and their editorial to say what makes most sense for the platform.
Yeah. I know that you can't describe exactly the user who's going to read your print publication or go mobile, but give me a very broad brush description. Who is your print audience and who is your mobile audience? Just give me one example on each side.
Well, I would say for the print audience, it's the everyday consumer. Sure. It's not just a business traveler. We do have high penetration with the business travel audience, but it is the everyday consumer that wants to know coast to coast what's going on. It's middle America. It's a little bit more of a mature audience. Mobile itself, if you look at the people, it's a little bit younger, skews younger, more professional in terms of the ability to have the technology. And so we're reaching people in that life stage when they're going into their first or their second job, and how are they really consuming their media? That the mobile device is their choice. Yeah. And so we have to be there for them versus just having one type of publisher or one type of program that we work with.
Cool. Is there anything that you can tell us about yet that you guys are in planning stages for? What's coming up over the next year?
I think what we're going to try to do is really continue to develop for all the different platforms. Tablets are going to be more and more common. We know this year that there's going to be between 49 and 50 million tablets. Next year, it's going to be probably 80 to 100 million tablets.
And it's almost as if they've been made exactly for you, because phones are a little bit tough to actually get in and read actual content. Tablets are exactly made for you.
Absolutely, and it's interesting because the material that we put on the tablet is not the same that you see in print. So, like I said, we go back to the editorial staff and we publish according to what we think makes the most sense. And it is a longer read. Half of our users right now on the tablet stay with us at least 15 minutes or more. And so when you look at that, they're consuming many more pages, and they're staying with us at a longer period of time. And
sure, they're sitting back on the couch. You know, they've actually got it there. They're there to browse. They're not there to skim.
Well, yeah, they're actually are taking a more in-depth approach. So they are skimming a little bit. But what we do find is when they do become entrenched with the content, their consumption habits on a given month are about 110, 115 pages. So that's a lot of content for each visitor to come in, about 10 or 11 pages.
Not only that, that's building their habits. That number is only going to increase as more people get tablets and build them into their lifestyle.
And it's really, yeah, it's reinforcing those behaviors, but also taking the information that we learn from our star ratings, what consumers want to see, and we change the model to say, you know what, let's deliver more of this content. What do the users really like? What do they not like? And so we can change the model and incorporate new ideas and new opportunities for the reader.
Okay, I'm going to change topic just slightly at the very end. I'm sure that you're being approached by a lot of other companies that want to help you keep ahead of your consumers and design for them. What are the most helpful things, let's say 2 things, that vendor or partner companies can either ask you or offer you? What do you want from these key partners?
I think we want to understand not just what would work best for us, but what they're seeing works for other companies that are similar and very different from us. I take an approach where the more that we know, the more that we can work with you, because it can't just be what one person thinks would be best for our organization. We want to see what best practices are happening throughout other organizations, be it on the digital, be it in social or tablet. We want to understand what's happening out there so we can incorporate the best practices for our readers.
So you want them to not just help you to enact the ideas that you already have, you want them to be bringing you new ideas too, and telling you how those things are already resonating with the audiences.
Absolutely. I think it's part of the partnership. You have to sit down together to say what makes the most sense. You have to take time, you have to brainstorm and really get a better understanding of what can come to fruition by working together.
Craig from USA Today, thank you for a very interesting conversation.
Well, thank you.